folks, I'm gonna do a lesson on how to add variation to the tune Miss McCleod's reel. I'm gonna play the whole thing kind of fast, then break it down for you, show you how it's different than the more basic version. And well, let's just get started. Before I get into showing you the variations, a thought occurred to me while just playing it. I wasn't planning on talking about this, but something I've been teaching more in person, and I did a blog post on it. A kind of playing attitude and stance called play it casual. Just have a casual feel. And a lot of it is just having a more relaxed feel and just kind of taking an approach like, yeah, it's no big deal. I'm just talking. I'm just playing. It's just like talking. And the reason I'm saying is that during the tune when I was playing it, I noticed I got really tense in the B part, and then I just kind of took an attitude of just. It's kind of just like, yeah, whatever. And so it's kind of a weird thing to practice, but it can actually be done. It's sort of a volume thing. You want a medium volume, and you just kind of want to like not try as hard. I know that we want to put up forth effort, but also just kind of just play it. So I don't know if that's helpful or not, but I just thought I'd throw that out there because a lot of the things that I teach, I am also working on. I am also a student still learning how to play, just so you know. All right, let's get into it, shall we? So the basic version I teach, the first quarter sounds like, and then the variation sounds like. So the first bar sounds pretty different. The first bar sounds, I add double stops. So let's do it without double stops. The way it would sound without double stops is, I'll just play it slow and up close. It's D3, A1, D3, A3, D3, A. So a great thing for you to do is to practice this a bunch right now. Start up bow. So repetitive that if you get this down, this first bar, the whole A part's gonna kind of be a cakewalk, provided you get this really solid. Try it at different speeds, slow. There's infinite ways to practice, which makes it fun. You could also switch it to another string, start on G instead. That way you're kind of practicing how to do things on G, but you're also practicing the same bowing. So back to where we started. And so the double stop we add is when I'm playing on the A string, I'm also keeping that D3 down and playing a double stop there. So watch closely. That's a double stop with D3 down. In fact, I just thought of this. Just practice this to get going. So it's single D3 and then D3 and A1. Wow, this is a good idea. Figuring out as I go. This wasn't even in the plan. I think if you just got that, you will be well on your way. And then the next thing you do would be a similar thing, but D3 to A3, When you play that A3, you're also playing D3. It's gonna be a little harder. That's so cool. I'm so glad that idea rolled into my brain. I think it's gonna be really useful. And now listen to the whole first quarter, putting it all together. Up close. So if there's ever a moment to pause the video and practice, this would be it. Some of you have written saying that that's annoying that I stop the video and make you do that, but I think it's important to really not barrel forward constantly with new things. So I do that to force you to really look at what's important in the song or the tune or whatever. So I'm gonna now assume you know that and that you practiced it 1,000 times. All right, so let's move on. The second bar would be. So comparing it to the basic version, no difference. So I don't need to say anything more there. So the whole first quarter again. Except that I'm sort of adding Georgia Shuffle. Right? Okay. And so I now want to point out another hugely helpful thing for learning variation. Now, this lesson, by the way, is part of the Irish Fiddle variation course, and you can watch it for free for 1 week if you're on YouTube. But the point of what I was gonna say is that you want to alternate between basic and variation. Whatever you do, whatever tune you're working on, if you are interested in variation, play a very basic thing, alternate it with variation. And we can do that with different size pieces. So we can do it with the first bar. Variation. Basic. Variation. It's an amazing practice. Let's do it with the first quarter just to drive the point home. So starting on the basic. Variation. Basic. Variation. So on. You don't need to speed it up. In fact, it may be a bad idea if you're learning it. I just got all excited there because I love playing that little part. Okay, so we're gonna move through the rest of this lesson more quickly, but I just wanted to give you these huge concepts. It's not that huge. It's simple but very powerful practice ideas, not to build it up to some big thing, you know, but I like little things like that you can hold in your hand. The simple idea of alternating basic and variation. If you just hold that and you don't watch the rest of this video, you've learned a lot, all right? So the second bar, so actually looking at the, I have the two versions here. The second quarter was the same idea. We'll start with this again. And then the fourth bar is the same as the fourth bar from the basic. So here's the whole second quarter of the A part. Okay, and then here's the whole third quarter of the A part. So again, we start with this. By now I hope you feel comfortable with it. And then the bar after that, the sixth bar is the basic version. That if you've learned my basic version is a 1, 1, open 1, 3. And so we're just adding a few notes from the scale here. I call that melodic variation, where you add or subtract notes from the scale. tabs for this will be on Fiddlehead. Now I'm gonna go between the basic and the variation for bar 6. So basic, variation, basic, variation. I think it's really useful practice, but it's also just fun. And then through you may start to come up with your own variations. And then you're really fiddling. If you're kind of naturally coming up with, it doesn't have to be any big thing. It could be just a slight little thing you add to it. Okay? So that's what another hidden benefit of this alternation between basic and variation. All right? And then the fourth chord of the A part, the basic version was, and then the variation doesn't add much, it adds a mordent. So the mordent, or it's actually a cut. I'm gonna do it real slow for you. So it's on the, so basically a cut is, like it says, it cuts in long note. Instead of, we do. It could also be called a grace note. The terms kind of like are a little fuzzy, I think. But that's what's going on. You can do it real slow. And then see if you can build up your speed. Remember that anytime you want to get faster at things like that, you can practice trills. Fast alternation with this long slurred bow. All right, got lessons on all the individual ornaments in the Irish style. Like trills aren't really an Irish thing, but they can help you tremendously in getting all the Irish things, like cuts, grace notes, mordents, rolls. All right, got lessons on all those. If you just follow Fiddlehead. Okay, so that covers the A part. Now let's get into the B part. So the basic version I did was, and then this version is, actually I think the basic version's harder because you got to do a string change. Anyway, I don't know why I arranged it that way, but it seemed natural at the time. And so this variation is, and then the next bar of the basic was, again, if you know the basic, this lesson will make a lot more sense. And then the second bar of the variation is, so it's a triplet I added on A1. Different ways to bow it. So the whole first quarter is going to sound like. And this is worth getting down. All right, but you can kind of hear the similarity between that and the basic. Variation. There's some kind of magical core thing to the melody where you can kind of still hear it even though some of the notes have changed. I'm not going to try to analyze it further than that. All right, so the basic version of the second quarter. And here's the second quarter variation. So it sounds a bit different. So the third bar is not too different. Third bar is the same as the first in the variation. And then now we do something different, a lot different than the basic it seems. So the fourth bar of the basic is, fourth bar of the variation is. It sounds completely different, but there's some similarities. They both begin on A, but the second version begins on a high A. Alright, so anyway, triplet to start. Alright, so then the third quarter of the basic version of the B part is. And then the third quarter of the variation is. Alright, so that's bar 13, and it's pretty much like the first bar of the B part. But instead of playing D3, which is a middle G, we play a high G. We could have done the middle G, but it made more musical sense to do this high G here because of where we're coming from. So here's the second quarter into that part. So we were already on the E string. It made sense to just stay there. And so that part works out nice. And then, so that's a triplet on A1. But otherwise, it should sound familiar, right? Because it's the same, this bar is the same as the equivalent point in the A part, which was, all I did was add a triplet. And then the fourth quarter is the same as the fourth quarter of the A part, which is. Okay, so now what I want to do is slowly play the A part, slowly play the B part, and I got more play-along tracks for you for this on Fiddlehead. So here we go. B part. That's it. So I hope you have fun with this. Remember, you don't have to do all these variations. You don't have to do any of these. This is all just suggestions. What I hope is that you just learn to creatively approach these tunes, learn how to reinvent them. So think of all the ideas in this as suggestions. If they're too hard, maybe let them go for the moment. Focus on what you can do. Maybe there's something I didn't think of that you'll think of, and you should do it. I would recommend recording yourself. Record how the progress of your variations. Maybe one day you hit upon an amazing version of this tune. You'll want to come back to it so you can listen to it again. Very useful tool. Okay, thanks for watching, folks. See you next time. Go to fiddlehead.com for a progressive, step-by-step course outline, color-coded tabs, play-along tracks, sheet music, and much more. Thanks for watching the video. Excellent! And don't forget to subscribe. Thanks.